welcome back. In this video, I would like to talk with you about the 6 pillars of learning and how to apply them. But before we start, I just want to give you a very quick reminder of what we want to do here in this course. Because in the last couple of videos, we talked about learning strategies, we talked about mistakes, we talked about so many different things, we talked about the different kinds of intelligence. But the one thing that we really want to do is we want to connect both halves of the brain with each other. This is the one thing that we were looking for. Now, what we are going to do here in this video is connect these two aspects with each other. I'm going to give you now the broader framework, and then afterwards in the next chapters we are going to focus on that framework. So that framework you can see right here. That framework are the 6 pillars of education, or the 6 pillars of learning. So let's first of all focus on the first one. We got the mindset. Afterwards then we got multi-sensory sensory intake. Then afterwards exploration via the 8 intelligences, and then memorizing key elements. And then in the end we got the repetition and the reflecting process. So basically, first of all, the mindset is how you approach learning, how you approach certain facts. So what you want to do is you always want to be clear on the benefits. You want to have a very clearly defined why. So why exactly are you doing what you're doing? And you want to make sure that you're relaxed and that you're ready to go. Now, in the next chapter, we're going to talk about the mindset, how to build a proper mindset, and how to be relaxed up here in order to make sure that you're capable of learning, not just in the short term, but actually in the long term. Because we know that learning is not a short-term process. Sometimes it takes us years to develop certain skills. For instance, if you want to learn web development, you cannot learn that in, let's say, 2 hours. You have to learn it for at least, let's say, 3, 6, 12, 18 months in order to be able to master multiple coding languages. So what I want you to do is first of all figure out, alright, do I already have the right mindset, or do I need to watch the next chapter and listen to my advice on how to build a proper learning mindset? Now, you have to be clear on the benefits. It is always about the benefits of learning. Why exactly are you doing what you are doing? What is the reason for you to go out and to learn, to study and to suffer, to fail and to get up again? What exactly is your reasoning? And then also the clearly defined why. Why exactly are you doing what you are doing? Is it perhaps because you want to have a better career? Is it perhaps because you just love to learn? Is it maybe because you have a certain goal in life? Why exactly do you learn? And this is again very closely connected to the benefits of learning. So then the relaxed but ready to go state of mind and the willingness to learn. These are the 2 components that I believe are even more important. If you're not willing to learn and you have goals, well, then you're never going to achieve your goals. But if you have the willingness to learn, the goals will come at a certain point. And at a certain point, you'll be very knowledgeable, and then you'll be able to achieve more things than the people who are not willing to learn but have goals. So that is actually the majority of people. The majority of people has goals, but the majority of people will never achieve their goals because they are not working on them. So then, multi-sensory intake. What exactly is that? Well, we have the senses. All the senses that we have, we can basically have a look at them and determine that we have multiple ways of learning. So we learn through our senses, and what we want to do in order to connect both halves of our brain is to look at the different types of learning. Now, we already talked about visual learning, about auditory learning, about reading/writing learning, and about kinesthetic learning. So what we are going to do in the next couple of videos is, for instance, connecting the learning strategies with each other. We want to make sure that when we learn, connect different areas of our brain in order to improve our brain, but also our learning strategies. So then afterwards, the exploration via the 8 intelligences. So we want to explore fields through different kinds of intelligence. So for instance, we want to take a method and then we want to have a look at it from the linguistic standpoint, from the logical/mathematical standpoint, from the visual standpoint, from the bodily, musical, from the emotional and social standpoint, from the interpersonal, so the inner, let's say, perspective/intelligence, and of course also from the environmental perspective. So we want to develop strategies to work with all of these different kinds of intelligence, because through that we are training our mind, we are training our head, and we are training ourselves to connect both sides of the brain. So then afterwards we got the memorizing key elements process, which basically is about, first of all, establishing so-called review cycles. So how often are we reviewing what we are learning? So for instance, do we review every single day, every single week, every single month? How often do we review certain content? That is the one thing that I'm going to focus with you on. And also what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a memorizing strategy. So how exactly can we memorize facts? Because in the end, learning is also about remembering things. It's not necessarily about just understanding, but also about memorizing things. So I'm going to give you my best memorizing strategies in order to make you able to not just remember things in the short term, but actually in the long term. And then, of course, the repetition process that you can see now to the left of me, basically. So the repetition process is extremely important. We want to repeat, 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 repeat. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools that you can use in order to repeat the process of learning, of, well, reciting different kinds of information. If you're not willing to repeat certain information, it is highly unlikely that you'll remember them in the long term. There is no strategy in the world that helps you or that ensures you, let's say, to learn an information in just a second and to remember it for the rest of your life. You need to just review information. There's no way around that. And then, of course, the reflection process. And that is then the last what we're going to focus on. So basically, how can I improve next time? That is a question that we want to ask ourselves. So this is basically, or these are the 6 pillars of learning: mindset, multi-sensory intake, exploration via the 8 intelligences, memorizing key elements, repetition, and reflection. So for now, this is actually it for this video. We are going to cover all of that in the next couple of chapters. I'm going to explain everything you need to know about these 6 pillars. And after this course, you will know how to use your different, let's say, intelligences, but also you're going to use the different kinds of learning in order to remember information more quickly and to connect both halves of your brain, and for you just simply to remember things more quickly, but also remember it for a longer time. So alright, that was it now here for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see each other in the next one.